Am I the a-hole for having a celebration dinner after my brother's divorce? My brother just got his divorce finalized. No one in the family liked his wife, as she was not a nice person. Like she'd ask for ideas on what to spend his money on. Was the type of person that celebrated her birthday for 2 weeks and expected everyone to do the same. There were many arguments over that, when people in our family didn't show up for each and every event she planned or wore the shirts she'd make for her birthday. She would interrupt when people were talking to talk about herself, then would go running to our mother anytime she asked for something, and my brother told her no. The tipping point was when our mother was going through chemo. She had issues with her feet swelling and would elevate them while resting on the couch. The one time we all came to visit, my brother brought his wife, and she just took the pillow out from under mom's feet to use it in the chair she was in because she was tired. But aside from expressing our concerns when they first started dating, we never said anything to him and tolerated her for his sake to not push him away and just griped amongst ourselves. But now they're divorced. The day that it was finalized, I took my brother out for dinner and invited some of our friends that hadn't been able to see him because of his wife. While we were at a restaurant, I toasted his new chapter in life, and someone said, "Real classy." And it turned out one of ex-sister-in-law's friends now works at a restaurant. We finished our dinner, left, went out for a while longer, then went home. And while watching a show with my wife, my phone was going off with notifications. All messages from my ex-sister-in-law chewing me out for celebrating their divorce. Since my wife wanted to know who was messaging me, I showed her the messages, and she's of mind that while she understands why no one liked my ex-sister-in-law, celebrating their divorce and toasting it was a prick move. She thought I had been exaggerating when I said I was taking my brother out to celebrate. It's been a few days now, and my wife is still shaking her head at me over it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. There could have been balloons and cake, but you kept it low-key. It's not your fault ex-sister-in-law's friend grassed you up. Block her and move on. The only way you would have been the a-hole would have been if your brother didn't want to celebrate like he's feeling down, sad, etc. and you decided to turn it into a celebration because you didn't like his ex. It doesn't matter if his ex was a wonderful person. If your brother is happy the divorce is finally over and you want to be there to help him celebrate, then that's great. If it were me, I would go to the sister-in-law's friend's workplace and let them know that OP is being harassed because she saw them at her place of business. Also, post it on their Yelp page / Google reviews and named a friend. Not the a-hole. You should have gotten t-shirts made and celebrated for 2 weeks. Do this, then go back to that same restaurant. Maybe even for 2 weeks. Not the a-hole. Why is your ex-sister-in-law able to contact you, as much as you don't like her, and have her blocked ages ago? Lol. I don't use my Facebook often, so I completely forgot about it. She's blocked now. Out of genuine curiosity, for my own selfish personal reasons, did your brother ever say why he liked this woman in the first place? Like, did she flip the script after they got married? No, she was like that before they got married. His reasoning was that she was always sweet to him when they worked together. And 1, he thought her ragging on him about his friends, hobbies, and style of dress was her wanting the best for him, so they could have a family someday. And 2, she always told him about how her previous relationships were all abusive, so he wanted to do anything to help her and be good to her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to continue paying rent when I buy my own house? My boyfriend, 31 male, bought a house this year, which is an unprecedented achievement in our country. He earns 5 or 6 times more than I, 27 female, do, and we usually split everything 50-50. But lately I've been calling attention to the fact that I'm supporting more expenses, but I gave him a discount since he was going to buy a house. Just recently he bought a house, and has asked me to move in with him. However, he's also asked me to pay a symbolic rent, which is essentially the same amount I'm currently paying for rent elsewhere. Additionally, even though he's hired someone to clean the house, I know that I'll still be responsible for a lot of domestic tasks. At first, I suggested that I pay for all the utility bills, such as electricity, gas, water, and internet, as well as food expenses. But he didn't agree, and we had a disagreement about it. Eventually, I agreed with him that it would be simpler to just pay a fixed amount, instead of splitting the bills and creating any entropy. The discussion has become more intense now, because I mentioned that I will be able to buy a house by the end of the year. I explained that it wouldn't make sense for me to continue paying him rent if I have my own place, and suggested that we find a solution that works for both of us. However, he thinks he is being overly generous, and he says that I would still be benefiting by paying that amount. Since I've been with him, I have had very high expenses, and I've told him several times that I can't keep up with his lifestyle and that he should support some costs, at least half, because I currently don't have the capacity to handle both expenses. He works very hard to make real money, and from the start of our relationship, I have been the one taking care of the domestic chores, cooking for him and helping out with grocery shopping. When we go out to eat, we split the bill, and I don't mind doing all this for him because he is amazing. He expressed gratitude for my efforts, but also stated his hope that I wasn't doing them expecting financial gain. He went on to share his vision for the future, stating his preference for separate accounts and everything being kept separate. He suggested that I live in his house by paying rent to assist him with his credit, but emphasized that the house would always remain his property. He also mentioned that even with children, he would like everything to be equally divided. I explained to him that I can't keep up with his lifestyle, as I won't earn as much as he does. However, he became skeptical and hurt, implying that I'm only with him for his money, and calling me an idiot for not understanding the situation and now not seeing things as they are. My friends have told me that he's taking advantage of me and that I'm just a convenience for him for now, and I'm starting to wonder if they're right. Should we be more individualistic in our approach to finances, or should we work together to build a good life and acquire property? Am I the one being unreasonable here? Not the a-hole. He is taking advantage of you. He is treating you like a live-in bangmaid, and on top of that, expects you to pay for the privilege. Not the a-hole, OP. Carry on with buying your house, and let your soon-to-be ex-boyfriend find someone else to pay towards his bills. He's treating you like a maid/lodger with benefits. You need a partner who values you. I always wanted to live in my own space, because at least when the nonsense happens, I could go back to my own sanctuary and not be stressed with a crapola. My boyfriend never understood that, and of course, we did not marry. Not the a-hole, and you need to run. Run far and run fast. This man, who makes 5 to 6 times as much as you, expects you to share equally in an investment where he reaps all the benefits. This is wholly unfair, and he is taking financial advantage of you. He is the one who doesn't understand the situation. You are together for a relationship, for the long haul, while he is in it for a financial reward. Please don't let his double talk dissuade you from moving on and finding somebody who values you for your worth, and not how much you can contribute to their financial stability. All of this, complete double talk and BS, where he gets to usually benefit financially and she doesn't. Then it makes 5 to 6 times more than her and makes her split the dinner bill every time? Hell no, he is a greedy jerk. So you helped him buy a house by supporting him, but he's not helping you buy a house by supporting you? Not the a-hole if I'm understanding correctly. Her boyfriend is milking her dry, and it's like she doesn't even realize it. He's basically using her to pay his mortgage, hence why he wants her to keep paying rent. He doesn't care how much money she has, as long as he gets to keep his own cash. I hope Opie wakes up and see what he's doing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife's siblings she is not their mother and they are no longer children? My wife is the oldest in her family by 9 years, and she was subjected to being a parent figure to her younger siblings by her parents who were crappy and uninvolved parents to all 4 of them. Only difference was, while my wife was forced to raise herself, she was forced to raise her siblings, and she struggled with that. Her siblings view her as their mother. She did make sure they were okay, but once she was 18, she refused to be all they had, and they went into foster care due to the environment they were living in. My wife was forced to drop out of high school at 16 because she found it too much to handle and failed all her classes. Then at 18, she decided she needed to fight for her own future. This is part of why she made the decision to call CPS instead of raising her siblings. She got her GED and she got a degree at a community college. We met while she was in the middle of doing this. She told me all about her childhood and how tough it was for her. She did see her siblings and stayed in their lives, though they were sadly separated in foster care. But they are now 21, 22, and 24 years old and still see my wife as their mother. They were jealous when our children were born, and my wife had to remove them from her life for a couple of years because they were angry at her for being a better mother to our first child than she was to them. Contact has been back for a little over a year now, but they have not really changed. They made my wife feel guilty for pushing them aside instead of working on things. But then they make comment after comment about the effort she goes to for our kids and how she never did that for them, and said it was hurtful to call our son her oldest child when she has them. My wife has told me she doesn't know what to do because their childhoods messed up their perception of her, and I told her I would speak to them the next time. So they stopped by Easter Sunday and were saying to my wife they wanted her to get photos done with them and our kids to show she's mom of all of them and they are just as much her kids as our children are. I told them to stop, that their sister is not their mom, she's their sister. She was a child just like they were, and they are no longer children and they need to start treating my wife as their sister and not their mother who owed them a certain childhood. They told me I have no idea what I am talking about and stormed out. This was the first time they left, and my wife looked so relieved. But her siblings gave her a hard time afterward. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You articulated something she'd been wanting to say for a long time in a way the siblings could understand. Good job. They don't like it. But the truth is, your wife gave up parts of her childhood to take care of them. Nobody got the childhood they deserved. Hopefully someday they'll understand everyone lost in this situation and how lucky they were to have her around when they did. Wish you guys the best. Honestly, it would have been much harsher, but the tact you showed makes you not the a-hole. Not the a-hole? Wow. This entire post is just disturbing. 3 adults can't seem to comprehend that their sister is not their mother is mind-boggling. They all obviously need some serious therapy, and your wife needs some distance. Kudos for having her back. I agree. One of my childhood friends was heavily parentified. She gave up her childhood to care for her mother, and then the 3 younger siblings her mother went on to have. It was heartbreaking to watch her try to hold together the family, starting at the age of 10. I know that my own mother reached out to authorities, who didn't do anything about it, and then provided us much additional help as she could as a single mother herself. My friend is super close with her sibs, but as much as she tried to shield them from their horrible situation, they recognized that it was not normal. They were kids too, so they weren't perfect. They all pitched in to make sure my friend could get as much as an education as possible, and they actually go above and beyond to show their gratitude every day. She's the only real mother they had, but they honor her sacrifices and love her for everything she did. The siblings of the OP do get some pity from me, as all of them grew up in a horrible situation that was beyond their control. But they're adults now. Surely they can see that what they're pushing for is wrong and unhealthy? Surely they are capable of understanding that punishing the sibling, who was forced to care for them as a child herself, is a twisted sense of logic and entitlement. As children, they may have had a past for being too young to see the situation for what it was, but as adults now themselves, they suck. Last story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my brother without childcare over a heater? Some backstory. I live with my 35-year-old brother and his wife and 4 kids. 3 girls, 1 boy, and all 4 and under. I'm basically a live-in nanny for them, and I live in their house rent-free because I don't have a job, while both my brother and his wife work. When they first got pregnant, they asked me to move in with them, with a promise that they would pay me for childcare. Well, that only lasted a month, and they proceeded to have 3 more kids in the process. I never complained because I do live in their house rent-free, and I know he really needed help. Well, they recently came into money trouble, and they now owe an insane amount of money, and they have both been working extra hours to make up what they owe. Now on to what happened. It's been really cold lately, and because of that, the house has been really cold. To turn on the heaters is a process, and I don't know how to do it. So my brother has been turning them all on, except for my room. My room is now the coldest in the house, and I can't sleep at night even with all the thickest blankets. I get pain when I'm cold, so I'm up all night in pain. I've been exhausted watching 4 kids by myself all day, so I have been asking my brother to turn my heater on, but he keeps saying he'll get to it. Well, a week ago he told me that he was never turning mine on because he needs to keep the bills down. I asked him if I just have it on at night and turn the ones in the main room off during the night. And he said no, that it's his house and he'll do whatever pleases in his house. And I don't get a say because I don't help financially. I didn't say anything to him right away. I just texted my mom and asked if she could pick me up. After she said she could, I told him that my mom was coming, and I'll see if someone can come pick up my stuff soon. He asked me what I meant, and I only told him that he needs to find someone else to watch his kids. Either get a nanny or one of them quits, because I am not doing it anymore. He told me that I was being dramatic, and that'll give me time to calm down. I said I didn't need time, and he told me to think of the kids and how they're super attached to me. I said I'll still see them with a parent present because I don't plan on babysitting anymore. At this point, his wife is trying to defuse the situation. And my mom showed up and I asked if it was okay for me to move back in with her. And she agreed and said she'll have my stepdad come pick my stuff up tomorrow. My brother has been blowing up my phone since, and he told our dad. So now he's blowing up my phone too. My dad texted me asking how I could abandon them knowing they're struggling. I feel bad because I did abandon them, but I couldn't do it anymore. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They're abusing you, at least financially. I didn't know it was possible to abuse someone financially. I don't really know what that means. Opie, they're using you as a slave. Your dad can go move into their icy room and watch 4 kids for free if it's so important. Suggest it to him. Otherwise, get your stuff and never go back. They'll try all the usual stuff. Yelling, pleading, begging, threatening. But don't cave. They need you. You don't need them. Not the a-hole. You did live there rent-free, but it's kind of messed up for him to not turn on your heater at night, especially because you were in pain. I don't see why he would treat you like that, especially because you took care of his kids. You'd think your health would also have been a priority? I have rheumatoid arthritis, and it flares up when I'm cold. My brother knew this because he was there when I was diagnosed at 16. He always seemed like he cared, and I realize now he didn't.